Welcome back to the Am I Rich Yet podcast, a weekly podcast for millennials and Gen Zs where we talk and teach you how to save, grow, and spend your money smarter. Today we are on episode 8. If you've been following along every week since July 1st, this is the 4th part of our 4-part series on savings. If you missed the other 3 episodes, start from the beginning because it's the type of series that you want to listen from the ground up. My name is Georgia. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm a Gen Z, current MBA student at the University of Sydney, and navigating my personal finances.
I'm Rob, Georgia's dad, and I'm a retired financial advisor, recently retired, and I'm here to help you make smart decisions with your money.
Okay, let's go.
So it's interesting. I was thinking about how neat this is. I'm recently retired. You've got a few weeks off from your MBA, and we were able to put this podcast series together. And one of the things that I had missed, I think, was that the rules always change with regards to these different types of accounts. Every time the government comes out with a new budget, they tweak the rules around these different accounts. So all of the information I'm giving today is very current because I just retired. If we had done this a year from now, I might have had to do some research, and I'm retired and I'm not sure I would want to do any research.
But if someone's listening to it, so yes, good thing you're retired, but if someone's listening to this 3 years from now, safe to say some of this is outdated. Are you in the podcast headspace today? Are you ready
Absolutely.
to go?
Ready to go. Let's get started.
Okay.
We're going to finish this marathon on savings.
Yes.
So this is part 4, final part. We got some great questions. First one is long. Let's go through it, Georgia. What's the question?
I'm very fortunate to have my parents help me out with my rent, but my salary is super low, so I genuinely wouldn't be able to afford it without the help. I was making a decent amount of money with my commission, but my company had a bit of a hiccup and we had to cut commissions until we got back on track. If I didn't have my parents to help me during this time, I 100% would have had to move back home. Looking back, I wish I would have been able to invest earlier on when I was making lots of commission to put myself in a good place for an unexpected financial issue like this one.
So I think the first thing is acknowledging your parents did not want you to come back home.
What?
Well, they're willing to pay your rent. No, sometimes they don't want their child back home. Okay? So just joking.
Of course.
What I like most about this question is you're acknowledging that you're getting the help. And number 2 is you're acknowledging you made a mistake. You've actually answered your own question.
I like it.
When you're making a lot of money, that's the time to be saving, not to increase your expenses. Sometimes your commissions are coming in, and that's when you should be doing your big savings, especially if you're in a job like commissions where the income is up and down all the time. You might not be able to save certain times. Maybe you can't do the monthly savings plan. You got to do lump sum savings. So when you're making the good money, put it aside. So I think it's great. They're acknowledging that they're not happy they're getting help, and maybe their parents do or do not want them to move back home. But moving back home, there's nothing wrong with that. Lots of people are doing it today to get a restart. And sometimes that's a great thing to do.
Awesome. And I think this question at its core is a great example of why you should be thinking and doing savings anyways. What's the best form of major first investment? House, stock market, both, other? When someone accumulates a decent amount of savings, what's the best way for that to be saved so it can grow?
Okay. So what's the best form of a first investment? I think it's great to put money aside for your first house. That's just my take. I always wanted to be a homeowner. That was my goal. I bought my first place. It was brutal. It was a townhouse. It was beside the train tracks. The train would go by. We couldn't hear a thing. I had to have 3 roommates. I really didn't have the place to myself, but it was a start. So I'm a big believer in starting with that.
I love that point you're making here, which is that your first house isn't going to be this luxurious single bachelorette pad in the heart of Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. Like, I think we have this idea that it will be that. And so just even hearing some perspective that someone successful like you, their first home was this property split with, where you were renting it out to 3 housemates in a undesirable location, and that was just the start. So it doesn't have to be so luxurious and glamorous when we're starting out.
Absolutely. Like, None of the furniture was new. None of it matched. It was all hand-me-downs from I have 4 older sisters, so it was probably from them or from my parents. But we made it work. And then you can make the inside of it look nice with a little touch. Today, you have lots of things you can do that didn't exist way back when. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's good. Start small. You don't need to be south of the 401 on your first home purchase. It doesn't need to be over $1 million.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. How do I...
Sorry, there was a part 2 to that. Let's not. What's the best way to invest that money? That's going to be our next series on investing.
Yep.
What investments should I be making? So we're covering the types of savings, we've covered accounts and all that stuff. We're going to get into investing next, so let's save that for our next series of podcasts.
You're doing a little cliffhanger for our viewers.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Okay.
It's going to be great. Some big surprises there.
You know how our TikTok hater is going to like that.
They won't.
Today, we received a TikTok comment that said, 5 reels later, and all I've heard are hooks and no substance. Shout out to you, TikTok hater. The substance is in these podcasts, so you better subscribe and like.
Hopefully you're listening too.
Hopefully, they're probably not.
Exactly.
That's
They're just
the reality.
haters. That's okay.
Just haters. Anyways, okay, next question. How do I save for my future when I'm just breaking even with rent and everyday expenses?
I'm going to tell a story. I had a client. They never made much money. They never made more than $50,000 a year. And yet they were able to save for a really nice retirement. Now, he died far too early, leaving his wife behind, but he had insurance in place. Everyone just needs to find their level. If you can't make ends meet, it's because you're living beyond your means at that point. It doesn't mean you're always going to be there. Maybe you need to get a second job, a third job, whatever it is to make more money to make ends meet. And I know it's tough. You're going to have friends that are further ahead than you, and then they've bought their first home and they're starting to have a family. Everyone's got their own time horizon. Mm-hmm. Everyone does. And, even as little kids, everyone would always compare, oh, my child's walking, my child's crawling. And sometimes it takes longer for certain people. It doesn't mean they're behind in life. They're not.
Yep.
Okay, lots of time to catch up. So I think the first thing to acknowledge is you need to figure out what you're doing. Because if you keep doing this, you're never going to have any savings, and you're going to be one of those people that when they retire, you're going to have to live off government benefits.
Doing this as in breaking even.
Breaking even, you're only breaking even because you're spending too much. Now, it could be an income or a spending problem. It's probably more a spending problem than it is an income problem. Everyone can adjust to a different level of income.
What should this person do about it? What's the first step?
Start some savings. Start paying yourself first, even if it's $50 a month, $100 a month. Start something. You won't miss that $50 to $100 a month, guaranteed. You will not even notice it's gone. And now you're on the right track. And then you're going to start to look at your expenses. You got a budget. You're using a budgeting app of some sort, a spreadsheet, whatever it is. And you start looking at those expenses and figure out, where can I save $50 to $100? Maybe I can move to a cheaper phone plan. There's another $50. Whatever it is, you're going to find ways to do that. If you keep thinking, poor me, I'm breaking even, it's easy to break even.
Yep.
You could be making $200,000 a year and break even.
I like that. I like the ownership that breaking even is a product of your habits and your behaviors, and that there are things that you can choose to do so that you are not in that position.
You get up in the morning and you look in the mirror.
Yep.
That's who's responsible. That's it for your day.
Mm-hmm.
Other things are going to come and go, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for your day and your life, okay?
On to the next question. I want to make sure I'm saving, but I also want to enjoy life, and I understand that you need to spend money on experiences and other things.
Okay.
There's a comment. I'll throw it at you.
We hear a lot of these questions about experiences, and I joke that you've traveled to more places than many of your parents have. I get that. I love experiences too, and experiences are often expensive. But if you put that plan in place where you're doing your savings first, the rest of it can go towards experiences. Stop buying stuff and put it towards experiences.
Yeah.
So you've got your savings and then your experiences, and limit what you're spending on stuff. You can cut your grocery bill down. There's cheaper places to buy your groceries. If you go to No Frills or you go to Walmart or you shop on things are on sale, you can really do some good things. If you save your grocery shopping to the end and you go to Longo's or Loblaws, you're going to pay a lot more. So there's things you can do to control it, and you can still enjoy your experiences. You just got to get your priorities straight. You're the most important thing, not the experiences.
Tip yourself that minimum 15%, and then the money you're left with after paying yourself, you can spend that on travel. You can spend it on concert tickets. You can spend it on new clothes. If you like trying new restaurants, you can spend it on that. Make sure you're paying yourself first, and then you don't have to miss out on all the experiences.
And feel guilty, and you feel guilty, right? Whenever you're spending $1.
Totally.
If you're doing your savings, you don't feel guilty anymore. It's a quick fix. Next up.
If I want to maximize my savings, I know I should max out my TFSA and have a high interest savings account. But what else? How can I start building assets? So let's break that down first. First part of that question was, I know I should max out my TFSA and have a high interest savings account, but what else?
I'm going to be tough on this one.
Okay.
You've got your TFSA, which is one of the greatest savings vehicles available to investors in this country. And you're putting it in a high interest savings account? You don't pay any taxes on the growth. You're only earning 3% in today's market, maybe 3.5%. You're not really saving anything. Put it in an account that's earning 8 or 9%, all equity account. We're going to cover that when we get it to investing. And now that money's really growing. So people used to say, well, I thought that's all I could do in a TFSA was put fixed investments, GICs, and high interest savings accounts. No, you can put whatever you want into it. Okay.
And the second part of that question was, how can I start building assets?
Tax-free growth, first home savings. If you have a home, then go to the TFSA. After that, we go to that open account we talked about. Still very much tax preferred, so you won't pay nearly as much tax on the growth if you set it up correctly, if you set it up in equities or real estate.
Okay.
Okay?
Do you think this writer is going to be satisfied with your answer?
They need to get their head around that putting money in cash is a waste of good money. That's not putting your money to work for you. Who's benefiting from that? The bank. If it's a tax-free savings account, the government isn't benefiting. But you're really missing out on that tax-free growth. Here's some examples. I have clients that have been saving into their TFSA since you could start. So the total room is, I think, $105,000 since 2009 that you could have put in. I've got clients with $250,000 in their tax-free savings account. They've turned $105,000 into $250,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty good because remember, they couldn't put all the money in at once. They've had to put it in over the last 16 years.
Okay, that's a great example.
Okay.
Next question. What is the difference between saving $10,000 a year indexed to 3% inflation from age 25 to age 50 versus saving $100,000 a year indexed to inflation at 3% from age 35 to age 50? Assume an 8% rate of return.
Okay.
So the main differentiator there is 35 to 50 versus 25 to 50. Should people in those different age brackets be doing different things?
And they're saving $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So start at age 25 and to age 50. So you're saving for 25 years. Okay. And you're putting in $10,000 a year indexed to inflation. And let's call inflation 3%. So the next year you save $10,300. And the year after that, you'd save $10,006 and change. In total, you've saved $351,000. By age 50, it's worth over $1 million, $1,050,000, roughly. If you delay that savings for 10 years, you'll have only saved $204,000, and it will only grow to $364,000.
Wow.
What's the difference?
A lot.
There's two lessons there. Number one, compound interest is huge, earning money on money that's growing, okay? Number two is starting early. The sooner you start, the easier it is.
Yep.
I've heard this expression, if you do a really good job saving and investing for the first 45 years, you don't really have to do it for the last 45 years. You can just let it glide. And that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. If you don't do any savings for that first 45 years, the rest of your life, you have to do saving and scrimping to make ends meet.
Okay. But the 35ers, they're not in serious trouble.
No, but they've waited 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, remember, in your 20s, you probably weren't making any money. Suddenly you're making $40,000, $50,000 a year.
Yep.
So why can't you be saving some of that? And again, you're the most important person in this whole equation. So you got to factor that in.
Yeah. Is there a line of optimism you can give to the 30-year-olds so that they don't leave feeling totally defeated if it's maybe today's episode that sparks them to go saving?
If they're 35, 38, start now. Don't wait till my next birthday or wait till I'm 40. Like, just start tomorrow. Do the steps you need to do to get the account open, start the savings. Boom. You know, what are we? We're June now. I could start a plan starting July 1st. It's probably not too late.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. It's never too late to start. Now, I know you wanted to give some quotes here. Are there anything you'd like to wrap up our podcast episode with today?
I thought it was interesting to share some quotes on savings. So, number one was from Albert Einstein. He said, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it." Once you understand earning money on your savings, so what's the example? I start with $10,000. I earn $100. The next year I start with $10,100 and I earn money on the $10,100. That's compound interest. You start doing that, and if your money doubles every, depending on your rate of return, 7, 8, 9 years, that is where you really start building wealth.
I love it. Thank you, Albert Einstein.
Next up was Warren Buffett. "My wealth has come from a combination of living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest." And his business partner, who recently passed away, Charlie Munger, said the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. Once savings are hard to come by. We talked, it's like losing weight, quitting smoking, playing golf. Once you've got it, don't mess with it. Just leave it alone. Don't touch that money. We've seen a lot of clients over the years who are sometimes in their late 40s, early 50s, and they've been ahead of everybody else. They started early, and they start taking money out of their investment accounts, and they're doomed, and they don't realize it. Try and tell them you can't be doing this, and they go ahead and do it.
Okay.
So that's the list of our questions, George.
And fun fact, you retired on the exact same day that Warren Buffett retired. Isn't that right?
It is true.
There
it
we
is
go.
true.
Fun fact.
That's
of the
about
day.
all.
And compounding interest.
And compound interest.
Awesome.
What are we covering next?
Next week, we are going to cover investing your money. Where, why, and how.
Okay. Looking forward to it. Be my favorite series we're going to do in this podcast series, investing.
And thanks for listening to episode 8. We'll see you next week.